Hello, and welcome to your submitted for your approval Christmas special. And you know it's a Christmas special because both of my regular panelists are gone. I think Empty forgot to wake up, so we're just going to do the show. We're going to do the show. But I am not alone. That would be horrible. I am joined today by our special guest, which is Cornmeal, Realm Admin for Mort Stahl, Realm of the Dead Things.
Hello.
He is here with us in voice only, but it's better than being alone. I'm not alone for the holidays. Anyways, so let's jump straight into it. Empty did make picks, but he slept in, so we're going to use his picks anyway. We're going to start with Battle Arena, which is a 3-drop strength 0-5 place with fast, can't attack, and all units have duelist. This is by Magneto, the guy who made Parroting Parrot and broke the affinity identities. Gosh darn it. No. But I wanted to talk about this card because it was particularly interesting to me. That is a pretty strong, pretty interesting effect. All units have duelist, and it has fast. So we talked about how rotation's coming up. We're going to lose some cards. This could slot in pretty nicely for Lightning Rapier, but also possibly get you more value out of it, or it could possibly screw you over if you miscalculated. So I think the interesting thing about this design is when you're going into it, there's a lot of math that players have to do very, very quickly, right? They got to start trying to figure out how they're going to arrange their cards and their next couple plays to survive really well. And if you're playing this off your last bit of mana, this could be pretty devastating and really shake up the match. What do you think of this, Corn?
Oh man, this card is really strong. I mean, I understand that it goes both ways, but maybe it's just from my perspective of playing this in something like a sack equipment hybrid or something where you can get rid of it at any time. The fast is something I didn't notice on it the first time I looked at it, but that definitely helps it out a lot for the strength perspective. It is really good card.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, I say it's really powerful. You and I both say it's really powerful. But I would say if you took fast away from it, it's really bad.
Yeah, because then your opponent would have a initiative right after.
Yeah, and they could have a lead off of it to just destroy your battle arena, possibly. But this requires a lot of forethought, both putting into a deck and playing. Because if you can't just drop this like a kill spell, right? It's going to have implications.
I mean, it depends on the board state, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Well, on a lot of boards it's going to be good. And so this is, So continuing on with the accepted submissions, this was Empty Folder's pick. Potion of Invisibility is a 2-drop mind equipment from nowhere in particular with give a unit untargetable and unblockable for 1 turn. Congrats to Entropic Mage. I know you don't get a lot of cards in. Why? Why did you do this? No.
Isolate part 2.
Honestly, it's saving grace in my opinion. So we might have the Hiku update, which might make this interesting. Even without the Hiku update, this is maybe interesting in Hiku. I don't really know. I think the deck's dead. The saving grace is that it grants unblockable, but also grants untargetable. Because that you could kind of use it maybe to cap off your equipment train. Well, of course, it's only for 1 turn, but this has to be the last thing you play if you're going to do any sort of buffing on it. So it comes out maybe a little telegraphed. I don't know. But of course, it's in mine, so you're probably just going to slap this on a vanilla unit and try to ram some damage through. Notable is the pirates and stuff from Sweatlow that care about dealing damage to an opponent, so Saboteur designs. So this has its good parts, but it definitely can be particularly scary in a couple instances. What do you think of this, Corn?
Yeah, this is how you make sure your combo unit doesn't die.
Yeah.
I mean, as you did say with the Saboteur Pirates, it could be interesting, but that's not how you optimize this.
Yeah.
This is just isolate part 2, in my opinion.
What card? Is what part 2?
It basically makes your card untargetable for a turn, but it can't attack and it can't block. It just I saw it in some Dreamer builds. But yeah, if you just want your combo to be not interrupted, this is the card to do it. Very spike. maybe to help Johnny a little bit to avoid the combo being interrupted.
Well, and interestingly enough, all of our accepted submissions are from newer players. Well, Entropic Mage has been a little longer. But Damo the Overgrowth is a 2-drop spirit 2/2 plant from Enterra with regenerate and active double this unit's HP and active double this unit's attack. So Sporium Corium, I absolutely love him as a designer. Everything he's come up with, even the garbage stuff, has been really compelling. And that's why I just love his cards. I'm so glad this one got in. This one in particular is kind of weird because it's always that classic trade-off between I want to actually be advancing my board state with this active, and this is really challenging because you can only probably get off a couple activations on this, but where you're really, really behind, right? This means to like catch up to itself. And it doesn't really have any way to do that built in, but maybe if we build a couple ready designs, or you can synergize this with maybe, or no, I don't even think we really have anything that really does enough readying to do this. Or if we ever come up with like ready designs or copy actives, it could be really interesting. What do you think about this, Corn?
I look at this a lot like how I look at Ruffling. This is a little slower than Ruffling because it's a 2-drop, but this is going to be the Spirit Equipment's version of Ruffling for Strength Equipment.
Yeah, probably.
I
agree with that assessment.
Yeah, you can buff it, and then the actives are doubling, so it's going to get even bigger. And with the amount of hard removal going to be removed from the standard, this is going to be a huge, just brick wall that's going to trample over everything and block everything that it needs to. Might make that a little more relevant as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we have any overrun equipments, which is what this really needs to shine, right?
I see Banhammer all the time. Post on the sub.
But yeah, if we got one good overrun equipment in this, that would be interesting. Another thing you could do to advance the plants game is a lot of people forget this. Fake Vampire Fangs is spirit in a spirit deck.
Yeah, but then doesn't Vampire make it only a vampire though?
Well, yeah, but if you have a bunch of life gain synergy,
you should fix that. Anyway.
Well, no, it makes it only a vampire on purpose. I wanted it to scrub tribes, but
I'm messing with you. But...
Oh, I see. But yeah. If you just want a whole bunch of life gain to proc like your Budding Spire or whatever, Damo is your guy plant thing.
It is multiple plants.
I should quit gendering the plants.
Well, why don't you just add Sporium after?
I'll ask Sporium. Yeah. Sporium, if you're watching this, post it in the comments.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Overrun.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go.
Okay, thank you. With Overrun equipment, like you said, this would definitely become much stronger than it is, but it will be strong.
Yeah. Okay. Now I want to get into the bulk of the show, which is always going to be the accepted submissions. The active submissions. Blah. With the Mountain Pig Giant. Mountain Pig Giant is a 7-drop strength, 7/8 pig giant from nowhere in particular by new player Razbojnik. You know how to pronounce it correctly. Say it. Rozubnik. And I really just wanted to stop before I even read the rest of the card and say this art is gorgeous and I want this in the game so bad. Overrun and summon deal 2 damage to all units in play. Of course, this is a newer player, so there's a little formatting issue. This just needs to say deal 2 damage. The word to all units in play is implied. So deal 2 damage to all units would have been fine for that. For reasons that I'm not going to go into, I really have a thing for pig people. And so he struck a secret chord in my heart. And so that's part of why I picked this design. But I also thought it was interesting because this is an AoE in strength. And we kind of had this thing going where strength didn't get a lot of AoEs unless they were attached to a unit. And I guess this qualifies. But This feels like just a flat AoE, and maybe that's too much. I don't know if strength needs that badly, but it's also interesting because it can advance maybe giant tribal. For those interested in that, what do you think about this, Corn?
Well, first off, didn't Flame Spill get in?
Did Flambeau Spill get in?
I'm pretty sure it did.
Okay, so it got in. So now this has kind of opened the door to that kind of design.
The doors have been opened. Strength AoE is fine now, and boy, will it help when it's in these low numbers. Also, I think having damage as DMG actually is a good turn.
It could help with the text crunch. Yeah, that's the
I think in a text crunch world, DMG is a way to go. I think it would be a good thing to do.
The counter argument is for standardization, you'd have to update a lot of cards.
You act like we have standardization.
We should strive towards standardization.
We should try, but the standardization should go towards the smaller text that's understandable. DMG is like attack. It's ATK.
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I'd also advocate for Graveyard becoming Grave and the like, you know?
Yeah. It does need no in play though, because that would help it in both ways, right? Because that's implied.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I was just advocating for what the standard currently is, and then I guess maybe you can argue I'm just wrong.
Let's get
Good
Rage
argument.
going.
You'll usually win.
But yeah. No, if you have this in a Rage deck, and you just play this and your Rage units all get their Rages off, I mean, we probably need a few more good Rage units. I mean, we have Hydra, so Hydra can get buffed. We have Bright Blade, which most people are complaining about, which can herald then off of that.
Yeah.
Circuit Champion probably would just die, but that's okay.
Synergizes very nicely with Cornmeal.
Hydra's a Jatad card though.
Well, yeah, but the other ones you mentioned. Yeah,
Sure.
I do think the interesting thing about this is I feel like it almost fits better in Spirit. Because there's Rage designs, and I think every affinity a little bit. They tend to focus a little bit in strength, but like,
there's a few in Spirit, yeah.
There's a few in Spirit, but there's also stuff like Endure that shows up in Spirit that works really nicely with this. Because you don't take the damage, and then they do. But
yeah.
You go.
Okay, yeah, no, I can agree with you on the Endure front.
Yeah.
I think that, but that feels, it's capitalizing on the resource in a different way.
Yeah.
And I don't think there is enough benefit to say running Endure over running Rage in comparison. And yes, there are a few Rages in Spirit, but you can't always depend on your opponent to be running units. So
yeah,
just because your units don't die or don't take damage isn't enough of a payoff, I think. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it could be interesting to maybe see. This would actually be probably a good place to maybe use a Chroma type design to say if you are Spirit, then so is this, because that would also let you run it in like a Tusknute deck, with like Doubts Fanatic and stuff like that, and just run big beefy guys because he's that too, you know. And this can help clear the board out so you can swing through with some of your big beefy guys. I feel like this has enough of a home and strength to really justify this. I just think especially because a lot of this text space is unused, especially after the modifications we mentioned, it would really make it shine.
I might overcomplicate it, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. I can see what you're saying there, yeah. So, Phantamus is a 6-drop mine, 6/4 horror from HPL. With entrance and start of turn, the next card your opponent plays is countered, bounced, and then cost 3 this turn. This is another great art from Entropic Mage. I like his style a lot. This effect looks scary, but I think it's 6. This is okay. Corn, what do you think of this? I'll let you go first.
I don't like this. The same reason I don't like Volcanic Dragon from a while ago. This will make it unplayable for certain decks to function, if I am understanding it correctly. Basically, the first spell of every or the first card of every turn is countered. Yeah.
But it was returned to hand.
Yes, but the first card of every turn is countered.
Yeah.
It doesn't go to graveyard, it goes to hand. Yeah. Making it even less janked in certain decks, so I guess the undead can't cheat the system either.
Yeah.
Just...
Well, it's basically a really, really elaborate way to make your first card you play each turn cost 3 more. Which you could have just worded the effect like that. It would have been a lot cleaner, a lot simpler, I think. But in effect, most of the time, that's what it does.
I think it hard locks a lot of decks. Maybe I play a lot of tempo, so maybe that's just my bias coming through. But there are some decks where this will be pretty useless against. So if I have, well, let's say food is more prominent, or I just play a beggar and just keep a beggar in hand. KM would probably be fine against this in most situations with her play style, because she usually has a few low drops that she uses as fodder for token production. But against tempo decks, maybe they'd get destroyed. Probably not aggro tempo, because this is too slow, and at that point anyway, they probably can just play their card.
But
so maybe
you're neglecting that this doesn't work like Neon Trails. The card has its cost set to 3. So it's a flat penalty. Unlike Neon Trails, you want to have a 0, or you want to have a 7, or you want to have a 0 so you can just kind of ignore it. This, you have to play with it either way, but it increases that penalty to 3. Here, you just want to have a card maybe you don't want to play this cheap, or you can just sink the penalty and take the extra 3.
Are there cards in the game that care about having a lower cost? I think there's ones that care about having a higher cost.
Snap Rebuke does, and that's potentially weird. You can actually use this to power up your opponent's Snap Rebuke. But I don't even think you could play that from hand, so that doesn't really matter. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw cards like that in the future. Oh, it does override certain cost-changing effects on cards, which could be interesting. If cards have means to change their own cost, this will override that. So this has a lot of weird implications. Honestly, I really just wish this increased your opponent's first card by 3. That would be a lot cleaner. And it's not doing too well in the Reddit right now. It's at like 5. So I don't know if people are just, there's a wall of text, it looks really powerful, and then just downvoting it, or what?
Yeah. Well, after looking at it longer I stare at it and it stares at me.
It does. It stares at you quite a bit. It's got 7 eyes.
Yeah. I might be overreacting to it.
Well, yeah, it's very, honestly, I'd say this kind of effect is a little bit matchup dependent, like you said. Personally, I just think it's a little overcomplicated for what it really needs to do, because the implications, like we've been talking about, are kind of hard to tease out. But the guts, the bones are there, I think. I think this is at a decent-ish stat line, beautiful art, nice flavor to go with it. Honestly, HPL, by the way, I know the status of it because I've been trying to get a legendary in for them. They need a common. So I would advise switching this to your opponent's next card costs 3 more on the entrance and starter turn. That would be a lot cleaner, a lot easier to understand, and it would help them advance their realm, and so they can get a new legendary slot in.
Is HPL still around, like the admin?
Yeah. He is. They are. Actually, there's 2 of them. They're kind of infrequent.
Who's HPL?
I don't think Taco designs anymore, but he does comment a lot. And then Yo-Yo God still designs.
Oh,
he came
okay.
back recently, in fact.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Or Yo-Yo Man. Not Yo-Yo God. You're Cornmeal / Corn God. Okay. So another one from my picks, Herding Party, is a 5-drop strength action from Unguia with create 2 Unguian servants and Elizabeth War Tent. Costs 1 less if you have 3 or less cards in hand. And the Unguian servants a 1/1 for 1. Elizabeth War Tent's an established card, but it gives your Elizabeth +2 attack and can attack itself. I thought this was super cool, super clean. Space Turtle did a great job with this. For the simple reason, this gives Elizabeth a lot of things they really need. Aggro decks need means to deal with running out of gas. This powers up if you're out of gas. So that's great, right? Other benefits, this helps you go wide because Elizabeth have been basically, I think, the only, maybe Vamps as well now, but they're the OG definitely, Swarm archetype and strength. And so this helps them be better at that. And it's also really cool and really flavorful. Don't know if I'm a huge fan of having the text on the thing, but it adds to the style points a little, so I'll give it to you. This was supposed to be a playoff hunting party, which I thought was kind of weird because, like, just it is a hunting party, but whatever. Corn, what do you think of this?
This is really the opposite side of the spectrum from the other card, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is a very big tempo card. Very good Timmy design, I think, too. Gets a lot of things on the board. You know, you just kind of rush through, play things. You don't have to care about keeping your hand full.
Yeah.
Just get things on the board, make the exciting plays, kill some things, have a good game.
Yeah. It's good to have cards that don't require like a big brain for the synergies, because I know collective sometimes is a little intimidating to new players because they have this like, oh, I'm trying to run this, but actually I need to run this card because it has this like niche corner case interaction with something else. People abuse blocks sometimes in combos, right? This is like, I have a stick and I have an enemy and I know what I need to do with it. And I love it for that aspect of it.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, no, that is the appeal of a Timmy design.
Yeah, it's just a good, clean aggro design. It's sitting at 5, and I don't know why it's not actually doing better. It doesn't need to be super fancy. It does what it does, and it does it well, and could actually help, now that we have Hawkins, get Vamps dethroned and maybe get Vamps and Lizabo living together or something.
It might be. I think some people want old tribes to die for a bit. Could be wrong. But, like, when you see plants or Lizabo or things like that, I mean, I don't think everyone does, though. I mean, literally before we came on, I think Spike posted a new Lizabo Lord, like a cost reduction one. And we already have a cost reduction one. So we now have that would be double cost reduction. I don't know. Maybe some people are against having.
Yeah, there might be people who are prejudging the card and looking at it being like Lizabo and then just passing over it.
Other than that, sorry.
No, you're good. Keep going.
Other than that, is this too strong? Let's see. 2 mana if you have 3 or less cards in hand.
So yeah, without the cost reduction ability, you're paying a premium of 1 for the 3 units.
How often do you think you would be able to play this for 2? Because I think it would be fairly often, especially if you're not trying to do any card draw, and if you have a huge amount of like low cost units and able to empty your hand.
One other thing you got to remember is that the Unguian servants are both under curve. They're not actually worth 1.
No,
at a 1, they should be 2 2s.
But you have the 10. So
yeah,
and 10's not just I don't even care about the servants too much. They're fodder units. The tent is gonna buff your entire board.
But I mean, if you're getting the cost reduction, you're just getting the tent, you're getting the servants for free.
Pretty much,
right?
yeah.
Because the 10 is worth 2. So I think it's about fair. I think giving you the servants for free if you meet the condition is about right.
I mean,
maybe.
Look,
it only costs 1 less, so it still costs 4.
Oh, 1 less.
Yeah, I don't know why you and I both thought 3 for some reason.
Because
I got the.
If you have
I thought it was 2. Yeah.
For 4. Let's see. For 4, it sucks, wouldn't it? No.
Yeah, it's not great at 4 or not great at 5. This might be underpowered.
Yeah, I'd reduce it by 2.
If you meet the condition, yeah, I would do the same probably.
Yeah. I think it depends. It's definitely because of tent. It's as strong as the Zabos are plenty.
Yeah.
But the Zabo, as well as every other tribe, except for the ones that have been very well established before the turn. So Dunewalkers probably will be okay. Vamps will be okay. I mean, a lot of people are saying Dunewalkers are going to go down because of the recent nerfs and cards they're going to lose. I actually don't think they will, but
yeah.
Either way, I think we've talked a lot about it. Yeah. This card's a little underpowered.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe a little under. I would increase the cost reduction condition. Chroma Ball. Now this is at 0. I think it might be newer. I didn't really check how long it's been up on the sub. Chroma Ball is a 3-drop mind action from Chromazone. Deal 4 damage to a unit. If you are strength, destroy it instead. So it's either a 3-drop 4 damage or a kill spell. I think this is a nice in the sense that it's a nice, just clean, just a clean common. Really cute idea. I don't really see why people have a problem with it unless they just don't want to see this as the predominant removal spell in strength. Because this is, I think strength's losing a lot of its good removal, and this would be a hard kill at 4. And I don't think that's bad. I don't know what people's issue is.
Pretty sure their issue is they want a slower hard removal standard.
Slower than 4? That's Demon Heart.
Yeah. Maybe they wanted slower than 3, but either way, recently I tried to post, and there was also the Crusher, but Doomfist, or whatever it was called, the giant fist that was pummeling, did pretty well. That one was at 4. That was a Tremor on a on a removal spell. So maybe people are fine with at 4. Maybe it's too boring for some, but honestly, I think there's just a crowd of people who really want less hard removal, and I think the game's gonna pay for it for a while.
Yeah, I think that's maybe. I think maybe what people are thinking about this card is KM bad, but this doesn't even lend any flexibility to KM. KM just wants this to be a kill spell, right?
I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
So this is like the golden thing for KM, right? Because like doesn't really power up. In fact, maybe hurts her. And then it prints 2 cards on 1, is what it does. So I commend Asdras for the cleverness of this. But as you were saying,
right? There's a lot of designs like this that people will, when they bring up the KM stuff, splashing in general, good splashing. Like Asdras has been doing some good splash cards, to be honest. I think it was maybe it was Acoustic. Who did the Flame Star?
Firestar?
Firestar.
I think that was Acoustic.
Yeah, that was Acoustic. People have been doing a few like good affinity splash cards, but then people just get really irritated about their existence because KM can just play them better.
But this one KM can't. That's the thing, is KM only wants this to be strength, right? Because it's 4 damage, that's gonna kill a rage or whatever. She only wants this to be strength, and this costs 4 for her. And then sometimes she's not a strength hero. So it's actually a drawback for KM, a good card for strength, and then a meh card for mind.
I mean, KM still has mind reduction. I don't know if you want this to be the card you use your mind reduction on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess it's a cheat deal with the mind reduction.
Right, because it doesn't change affinity.
Yeah.
So you could do a 3-mana kill spell in KM.
Oh, yeah, because you can reduce the cost, then pivot. Man, that's a long song and dance. Then it becomes a 2-mana kill. So it does help KM once she has mind buff up and then switches affinity.
But again, I don't know if you want to use your mind buff on this.
Yeah.
Maybe. You do. Maybe you need that really early removal, but
I guess what it could help you with is honestly, I think KM shouldn't keep mind buff if she switches outfits. Because that's what breaks this design, really. Now that we found the exploit, right?
I think she should, but I don't know. Maybe I do think a lot of people really hate on these type of cards that are good for splashing because of her existence, though. Because she is Splash the hero.
She limits so much. She limits quite a bit of card designs.
Well,
and so maybe that's why it's doing it 0. Maybe everyone else figured out the combo.
It's not that she limits card design. It's that people will disagree with me on this, but she just does splashing better than most heroes. That's her thing in a way. And because of that, people are reluctant to do splashing cards because they know that one hero will do it better than every other hero.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. The 9-pegged Lookout is a 1-drop neutral 0/3 crab pirate from Osagarth with 1 stock active, +2 stock active, scour equal to stock. This is interesting. This is a good stock design. I don't know if I like the brackets here. I think even with Text Crunch, you could have just written that ability out, but you're establishing a standard that you want to use later. And then some people brought up how this could be really degenerately abused. Someone was putting a card with the brackets and said number of cards in graveyard. And maybe there are some people who think we're going too nuts with Text Crunch. I'm not sure either way. It's an interesting formatting choice, and maybe that's something we could talk about. The actual card, though, that is a nutso level of scour. Potentially. What do you think of it, Corn?
I think getting it up to that would make it a little slow, but maybe you active it once. I mean, theoretically,
I was thinking get it up to 3. I don't think there's a lot of real. I think it's maybe fake interesting. Like this is wait a turn, then scour 3. I don't really think you ever want to go to 5. Maybe in scout like if we get a lot of banish synergy, which we don't really have.
I wish we had more.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting way to do stock matters. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, so part of the thing about stock is you're supposed later, or theoretically there will be later designs that will buff stock, like be able to transfer it. Kind of like, what was it? There was like charge counters from MTG. You would have counters that you would transfer to something to get a huge payoff. Sometimes even win the game. But with stock, I mean, as it is, I think Mystic's trying to make stock designs that can be independent. That was what a lot of people, I think, have been telling me. And I mean, do we keep Dragon Totem?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? So maybe this could help Dragon Totem as a replacement, but it doesn't herald for dragons either. So not really.
Well, there was that Phoenix release recently that cares about being banished from the deck.
Right. Null Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, so if Hallucinogenica does more of those banished designs, then possibly.
Right. If banish becomes relevant from deck, then maybe this could see play, but
it's a little too slow, I think, just to be used as a filtering tool.
Yeah, but it is an I03 wall.
Yeah.
I think people underestimate 0 attack units. Maybe they don't. No, they don't. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Maybe in an uncommon with like readiness before combat, you could also use it as a blocker.
That might be nice.
It would give it pseudo ambush. You might have to bump it up a point or something, but
nah, I wouldn't mind this at 2 then if it could ready everything. But
yeah,
maybe I'd give it another stat too. 0-4. At 2 mana. Yeah.
We would if only we knew why Empty picked this card. No.
If only.
No. I'm sure he had something interesting to say. No. The Alien Formation is a 1-drop spirit alien from Debello. It's an alien action. With add a Hydraxy Newborn to your hand, choose a number, set its cost, attack, and HP to it, give it 2 keywords of your choice, not unblockable or untargetable. So it set its cost, make it a square unit of a given cost, and then irradiated bite on it, basically. The newborn it doesn't really matter what the stats are because it overwrites it. One thing, and I know this is going to be something where people disagree with me a lot, I think this is actually pretty decent art. It reads as kind of maybe garbage paint stuff, but it's also a little stylized in a way I really liked. It was different from the other Hydraxy. The other Hydraxy looked like just garbage MS paint art. This looks like almost deliberately blocky / weird. The effect is definitely up my alley. I don't know if it's worth a rare, but boy, howdy is it interesting. You can get a square of any size, give it 2 keywords. It's a very, very flexible unit. What do you think, Corn?
I dislike it. So let's start with that. It is too versatile, which is a complaint I've had about one card of mine in the past. But yeah. What you like about it, that you can make it into anything you want. I dislike about it.
Yeah.
Which is good. Good. I think that's a good thing. You should get people to love and hate designs. That is a good thing to have. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it starts as a 1/1, right? And then you set its cost, attack, and HP to it. So
it's either a 1-drop 1/1, a 2-drop 2/2, a 3-drop 3/3, and so on.
Yeah. Honestly, I think most of the time, yeah, no, this is too versatile. This can be whatever drop you need it to be when it gets into your hand.
I think in effect, though, because it's diminishing returns, most of the time, this is going to be a 3-drop 3/3 with 2 keywords. Or maybe a 2-drop 2/2 with 2 keywords. I don't think people are ever going to make this a 4-drop 4/4 with 2 keywords.
I disagree.
Maybe I'm wrong.
You are wrong. let me explain. Sorry, now I sound really condescending.
Don't sweat it, man.
If this is a late game drop, let's say the game went really long for whatever reason. Can you imagine making an agile flyer? Like a really buff agile flyer late game?
Yeah, using this to just close out a really, really long game. But you are telegraphing that over 2 turns. Well, if you need to make it a 13/13, you're telegraphing it over 2 turns. But this could give Spirit a much needed bit of reach. I guess. Which has kind of been its weakness before. So maybe it's too much for Spirit.
I mean, That's one of the issues I have with random keywords too.
This isn't random. This is a bite.
It's not random. It's picked, yeah, but its choices are. I mean, okay, so some people want flying in spirit, and parroting parrot is an example of that, and I'm fine with some flying in spirit, but being able to handpick any keyword, anything you want, I think it's a little demeaning of the affinity lines. And
well, I mean, but the way we've established affinity is it's a premium of 1. So anything you could do in one affinity, you could technically do with a premium of 1 in another affinity. So I designed a radiated bite, which I suspect Pierre stole his blocks from, right?
Okay.
A radiated bite, the thought behind costing it at 3 was it is 1 more than the cost of any 2 keywords. Now, you might disagree that that's what it should be costed at. If so, submit an update. But the idea was originally that it was 1 more than it would cost to get the 2 best options at a given point in time. Because that's what an off affinity penalty is.
Then why have it neutral though?
Because it can get any affinity, and originally you couldn't get flying in spirit, and originally you couldn't get life. Well, you still can't get life bound in mind.
No, I get you.
Yeah. Sorry. So it has to be neutral. It's a consequence of that.
Either way. Yeah. Besides keyword whatnots, I know that's part of the Hydraxis deal, so that doesn't hurt it too much in my opinion. It's more, this can be whatever you need it to be.
Yeah.
And that's, if anyone ever wants any other vanillas to ever see the face of this game.
I still think it's kind of, well, bear in mind you're paying an extra 1 in cost.
I think that extra 1 in cost is fine. I think for what you need it to do, it won't matter too much.
Yeah. And you're also telegraphing it because it'll go in the hand that way.
Yeah. Oh, wait. No, we don't have enough discard. Never mind. I was going to say it doesn't have fast.
Yeah.
So if someone has discard, they could take it out. But we don't have enough discard for that to be an issue.
Yeah, it's telegraphed a little bit. So you're right. You still get the problem at 13. At 13, round 13, you can get a 12-12 flying agile and immediately play it by burning your whole turn.
Right.
Or you can get a 10-10 if you know, and maybe do some extra stuff.
Also, people would argue that not all keywords are worth the same, so maybe you're actually getting your bang for your buck anyway.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing is you are correct in the aspect of it's the best 2 keywords at any given point in time.
Yeah.
And so that's
yeah. Sorry, not necessarily the best, but whatever you pick.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, which is supposedly the optimal. But you are still paying a premium because the unit will always be undercurve in terms of stats. Always. Especially since you have to pay the extra 1 to set it up and then telegraph your intentions. So, Pierre, hats off to you for making a card that's interesting and can keep us talking for like 12 minutes. But I think we need to move on. Not 12 minutes, but quite a bit. Again, would have been really interesting to hear MD's commentary.
That's fair.
Love you, MD, but I'm going to keep railing on you for the rest of this episode if you're watching this. The Deep Sea Lanternfish, is this the start of your picks, Corn?
No, I had the earlier version, and then they changed it, so I had to remove it. Okay.
Deep Sea Lanternfish is a 3-drop neutral 5/4 fish from nowhere in particular. Can't attack or block, and is can't attack, block, and is untargetable if more than 5 units are in play. So it just doesn't exist on big boards, and it's huge on small boards.
But in every control deck.
I feel like it should have the kaiju typing because that is a drawback. And an interesting one too. So you run more controlling stuff. What do you think of this?
I run more controlling stuff. I don't think you know what I play, but
I run 0 controlling stuff, so you have to. You knew it belonged in a control deck, which is more than I did.
It's okay. So For control though, like an action spammy deck, I mean, I guess it doesn't have ambush, so maybe it's not as defining, but this is this is a free 5/4.
Yeah.
A lot of decks really don't have, I mean, yeah, an untargetable 5/4 for 3 mana. That is really what this is in the decks is going to be run. The downside does not matter. It just means that there are less decks that will run it for constructed play. It'll only be in decks.
Yeah, because it's really, really hard to outplay this in a deck that's running like maybe a couple AoEs, maybe enough spot removal.
Yeah.
I think if you were dedicated enough, you could do it though.
I mean,
This isn't immune to AoE itself. It can still be buffed, and it's in neutral.
it can't.
So,
It has untargetable.
What?
Oh wait, but actually, oh, that would be hilarious. You can wait for your opponent's mana to go down. You can, if you have more than 5 units are in play. Oh wait, okay, never mind. It gets untargetable and can't block at the same time. Never mind. I thought I was thinking the other way around, that it had untargetable when it could attack.
Yeah, you can still just spot remove this. Yeah.
Do we have a? So let's say this actually could be more fun than I was originally thinking. Let's say a card gives this a passive buff or some kind of ability buff that you don't, an active, it gives it an active or a passive. And then you purposely fill up your board, and now you have an untargetable passive or active.
Yeah, Firestar does something like that, doesn't it?
Firestar. No, Firestar, you buff a card in hand and it does 2 damage to a unit when it comes into play.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of something else. Yep. So yeah, giving this some useful this is potentially abusable with mass. I mean, a lot of cards are.
Yeah. But wait, can you target? Oh wait.
Wait till it's play it, then do it, then buff go back up. Maybe.
But wouldn't it get the can't attack and block as well with the mass?
Well, yeah, but just whatever effect you want on it, right? Like you said.
Oh, right.
Give it that passive or active that way. So you can give it any passive and any active on any card in the game.
Yeah. So I think it's actually, after saying that, this is actually a pretty decent control card and could be used in some combo pieces. So I'm starting to see some of the more Johnny part of it, if you could think of it that way.
Yeah, I also was with you. Maybe you helped me read it wrong. But yeah, understanding it now correctly, this is a hard card to wrap your head around, but I think this could be really interesting. I do like that I think this is an interesting way to use neutral. And it's hard to see where this would go at the moment, but I would be excited to see what people would do with it.
Well, I think it would either go in a control deck that needs just a big buff beefy boy, or if there ever comes.
Hello?
Good.
Sorry about that, guys. Minor technical issues. Corn, keep going.
Right. So as I was saying, I think the decks that this would go in are control decks that just need another beefy unit, or as a passive, use it to kind of have a dreamer passive or some other passive implemented onto it somehow.
Yeah.
If the Johnnies ever come up with some other combo, it might be nice too.
Yeah, but it is a little hard to read, I think, and that's a lot of people is just doing horribly on this sub, but this also might be fresh, so we'll see how it does. Good luck. Also, again, Sorbet, for keeping us talking on a card. Hats off to you. Another card from Sorbet. Blood Wings is a 5-drop strength action from the Icorian sect, because that's, a relevant realm. Give all friendly units flying in at the start of turn, deal 1 damage to self. By the way, it should be deal 1 damage to this because it'll make sense on the unit it's on. But this is interesting. So it feeds flying, it feeds ragers, and potentially gives you a lot of reach to go lethal. What do you think of this, Corn?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it might have been better to have the deal 1 at just then, but I guess start of turn helps out more decks besides rage. So,
Yeah.
because honestly, as you said, yeah, this gives a whole bunch of reach. You can just hammer into the opponent that turn. There's not enough flyers in the meta, and people are too scared to print more.
But yeah, just this first 5 words, you got to bear in mind, you might not even live to, your opponent might not even live to see that damage. So I don't know if this is enough of a drawback. I would have maybe argued before combat was better. But even then, it doesn't really matter because it's only 1 damage.
Yeah, probably having the drawback sooner would be better, because a field buff of giving all your units flying. It's not until end of turn either.
Yeah, it's just permanent flying, and then.
Well, it's not permanent. It's just.
Well, yeah, not permanently, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is too much. I think this can really. I actually want to see how this is doing compared to the other design. It's doing a lot better. Deep Sea Lanternfish is at 1 and Bloodwings is at 7. And I would argue those should be switched because I am very scared to see what this card could do if it was in.
I like it. I mean, I like rage designs in general. I just think it's.
Yeah.
I think it's too slow for rage, and too
fast for everything else. Yeah.
It's a rage design that's probably better in a non-rage deck.
Yeah. And so this is, by the way, style points, art points. This is great. I'm so glad to see Sorbet on because they're a great artist. Yeah. Design-wise, this is the design I'm scared of. Now that we've understood what Deep Sea does, this is potentially scary. I'm just comparing because they're two by the same designer. And I don't know, like this could like single-handedly win like every AI match that I ever play as a single player because I just need to build a board presence, which is really easy to do. And this will guarantee I always have a way to kill.
Just give everything reach.
This will encourage people to build more flyers if it gets in. And that's the thing that can be said about it is this encourages people to do the arms race thing and build a good counter for it. Usher of the Depths is a 4-drop spirit 3/5 human cultist from nowhere in particular. With when a card changes zones, set the cost of the bottom cards of your graveyard and deck to 3. This is really interesting. First of all, we have 3 cult realms and 5 realms that feature cultists, and this doesn't have a realm, which bugged me.
I don't know if that's the biggest concern though.
Well, yeah, that was just the first thing that really stuck out to me. Son, go look at the realm sheet. We have all sorts of cool places this could go. Talk to people, collaborate. This could be really exciting in one of those. The problem I think for this, in Cornmeal, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think this has a home.
This maybe not. Oh, sorry.
Well, okay, so what's your home for it?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's there yet, but I have seen, I think they're mostly by Sunbird. I might have seen a few others, but bottom card synergy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there are a few reanimating cards that are rotating that could help with this, but we still have a few in standard that'll stay. But
especially because this is the bottom card of your deck, like Lesser Raise is not helped by this.
Well, but I was thinking this is more of a hero helping card, if that makes sense.
So currently the only one I know that manipulates bottom would be Hawkins. And
Well, there's
Hawkins
also-
just brings it back.
Right. There's also Mari though.
Oh, for Marie. Well,
I
for
mean,
Marie, you run into
Marie.
the problem of usually the bottom card of your units or your deck is going to be the cheapest.
But basically, what I'm trying to say is, we have cards that can manipulate graveyards. And usually they're run within these heroes. Like
Yeah.
Hawkins would run them because they want to get things to the bottom. Marie would run them because she wants things to stay on top. But because these heroes have, and probably should have more, they have the tools, I think, though. Like no, not Spellbreaker, that's a different card. Spirit Breaker has, some banish meant for your own graveyard, and then I guess some people might still run that piece. I think most would laugh at that at this point. But you can warp your graveyard to get cards to the bottom that you want to be at the bottom. And because this happens whenever a card changes zones, if you're banishing cards, it'll change it again. So you can get what you want to be at the bottom to cost 3. And then you reanimate whatever that is with a 3-mana reanimation spell.
Yeah, I just don't think all the pieces are quite there yet. And I think we need more reasons to care. And that's one of the problems with making an archetype and collective is you got to come up with ways to do the thing first and then payoffs for the thing later. And I don't even think this is really either of that because I don't understand why I would want to do this without a payoff.
Okay. Let me try. So it might be mostly legacy or single player at the moment. It might not be graded standard yet because of some lack of the tools. But let's say you mill some cards. You try to mill a combo piece. You mulligan your hand hoping to get Usher and a reanimation card. So you do that mulligan, you get those 2 cards.
Yeah.
And then you wait and try to get some mill cards. You mill, and then you try to keep in your hand the certain banished tools.
Yeah.
So you have in your deck a few combo pieces, something with a great and not a summon, but either a great entomb or great entrance, or just any high cost unit really. It doesn't matter, a huge amount.
Yeah.
And then you kind of hack at your graveyard until you get the card in the right place, reanimate, great mana cheat, it's done. It might not sound great right now, but I think it's a good Johnny card. I think it's a good card to build towards and build.
I do think eventually, I just think the thing you outlined right there was like an 8-step process, right? It was like, I have to hit this particular combination. And so I just think it's too much of a song and dance right now. I like the idea. I don't see a home for it personally that really works. I see a theoretical Magic Collective Wonderland thing, but
it doesn't really matter if it always works. That's not the point of a Johnny card.
I don't know if it'll ever work. Maybe a really lucky mill, but at that point it's a Timmy thing.
But that's part of the point.
Yeah.
The point is to make it work.
Yeah.
To try to get it to work. That's the excitement. That is the point of designing for a Johnny player.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but
at this point, I'm just saying there's no real vote of confidence among the subreddit board, and I see why. I'm not necessarily saying this is a bad idea. I think this could be a great idea. It's just a matter of I think a couple of more cards need to get in first.
Maybe I think there might be enough tools, but people need to find them to break it.
Yeah, basically.
And that's why I think it's a good Johnny card.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to talk about it. Okay.
But yeah, put this in a realm. There's so many cult realms. There's got to be a place for it. Bifurcator is and this is the first of your picks, or are we on the second of your picks?
This is the second of my picks.
Second of Corn's picks. The Bifurcator is a 3-drop spirit 1/1 ooze from Mort Stahl, Realm of the Dead Things. But Cornmeal did not design this one. Ambush, summon, create a copy of this, Entomb, draw a card. I'll let you talk about this one first.
So I know this design is simple, and that's a fine thing. So oozes, or really tribes in general, that there's a lot of tribes in Collective, I feel, that are underrepresented mechanically. And I know that people want flavor tribes, and I think that's okay. But I really think that oozes could be a tribe that warps into more of a mechanical thing, because they've been getting a little more support over time. I've been noticing this. So there was the Enduro units from Apra, and there was Mortimerry Ooze from Spikebird to kind of give them that entombed center. And I think, and there's a few Rage ones as well. I think Spikebird made that other Rage one that's a plant as well. So they're kind of forming what I like to think to be a skeleton of a new mechanic tribe. And I really want to see them kind of flourish, you know, make that new tribe that it existed before. It's not like someone hammering out something from the ground up, but it's something new still at the same time.
Yeah, and I think this is definitely a good direction to go with them, like the idea of the oozes like feeding on the muck and the ick and kind of like powering up based around death, or when they die doing interesting things. And the Rage and Entomb play really well together, right? Because they have a lot of the same enablers. Some different ones, like Grave Rave is just an Entomb and not a Rage. And so this is a really creative and fun design space for them that feels spooky, right? Like, especially with like Mort Stahl. You want things to feel a little icky, and that really registers, I think, pretty well with them. This design in particular, I think, so it gives you blockers and it lets you draw, right? Those are the two main functions of this design in particular. And as far as it does this is actually pretty powerful, because once this is all said and done, you've actually gained more resources than playing like a meticulous research would in that, right? I mean, of course, you don't get the 2 draws right away, but you're going to get them soon. They're 1/1s. And so I think this is a really nice, just cute, clean design. Sad it couldn't fit on a common, but, you know, this is the life we live in.
Yeah, I don't know why this couldn't fit on a common.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, I think this is a nice, clean design. Do you have anything more to say about what specific role this fills in the use deck you guys are working on? Because I know it was you and Spike and a little bit of Apra that have been working on this mostly.
Yeah. Well, we're not exactly working together, but we are. I think Spike said that during one of the last.
Yeah, you guys just have a similar mindset, and it's leading in a really fun direction, I think.
Yeah. So because this creates a copy, that means there's 2 entombs. So with Mort or Mortimerry Ooze, that means that it can copy 2 entombs. So that's very synergistic. As well as with Overflowing Ooze, that means there's 2 entombs that will trigger because there's 2 units. So Overflowing Ooze will get bigger. So those 2 payoffs will get their payoffs.
Yeah.
Sadly, I don't think. Yeah, Ghostly Goo didn't get in, so that would be another card that would. Maybe I'll repost that one. But that was another card that could help with these and just copy a draw or something. Either way, as it is, this is a very good resource value for an ooze deck. And it sounded like you think it's too strong.
No, I think this is about right. Maybe a little pushed.
Yeah, probably. But I don't know. I really like it.
Especially because, like you said, if you can leverage any of the synergies with it, you get a lot of value, and that value is card advantage, which is a particular kind of value in a card game.
Yeah. Either way, I would. Yeah. I would really like to see this card get in and really, really finalize.
Yeah.
That Entomb Ooze tribe.
One thing I do like about this, and this is a kind of a worry I've been having about the designs, and this is important, even though this is not mechanical, is the art. Corny did a good job on this one, because if you look at the art, you run into a problem with oozes where they look kind of samey, And this one has enough of it mentions its theme enough to where I know what this one is. This is Bifurcator because there's two oozes in the picture, right? And so that's good in that respect. But I am a little bit worried about what that'll look like going forward with the being able to tell all the cards apart. And you've been doing okay on that, but it's interesting to note that you have these certain tribes that just suffer in that respect of not being able to really have that full character that you see in some other tribes, if that makes sense.
There is a way to make oozes not look samey. Usually it involves a container.
Yeah. Mechanic Juice is a 1-drop neutral 2/2 robot plant from Tutela. With Entomb, both players gain 2 HP. So this is a play off the Juice mechanic that was another thing. And this is a very, very quirky card. Why did you want to talk about this one, Corn?
It's a neutral healing card. Not in a bad way, but like it's not as powerful as the Purity Cat that's on the Reddit.
Yeah.
Which is like a 1 mana entrance, heal 3 HP, which that card I think is really strong, but maybe I'm over exaggerating. I don't know. I think the entrance is too much, but people have been complaining about how control won't have for mind any healing at all, and I think some minimal healing would be great. It's also a robot, and a plant, so robots in general as a tribe don't tend to have much healing, so maybe this kind of minimal healing would be really useful.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Of course, plants are an established healing tribe, so.
Yeah. Right. So even though the card isn't the strongest card imaginable, matter of fact, it's probably overcurved now that I look at it and notice it's a 2/2 that has an ability.
Well, but the ability has a drawback, and it's a symmetric drawback.
Right. It's everyone heals. So yeah. I think a card like this and Juice Mechanic were cards that I looked at and thought these would be amazing core set cards. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
These are the kind of cards, they're not too strong. They're strong enough to help people out. And they're really a good basis for the game in general, I think. Like,
yeah, I think it's interesting in that respect. I agree with you. Now I kind of see why you picked this one. And I do like the idea of doing symmetric. Maybe if we want to talk about the role that affinity identities have, having mine maybe only having HP gain if it's symmetric might be a good way to go.
Or limited, yeah.
Because it's not gaining anything in terms of the damage differential. It's just drawing out the game a little bit longer, which is what control should do. That could maybe be a good route for that, and this is maybe a discussion we should have,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's really not all that much to say, so I'm going to move on to what I think is the last one. Yep. It's doing really well on the Reddit, which is interesting for how simple it is. Okay, the Prime Apprentice is another Magneto design. It is a 2-drop mind, 1/2 Chrono Arcanist from Xandar. So I'm gonna give a little bit of background because this bugged me for flavor reasons, and people think I'm wrong for ever being bugged for flavor reasons. Krana is one of 3 different animal skull races that Magneto's working on as Xandar, which is this new crystal realm. They're still fleshing out like a mechanical and a flavorful identity to really make it work. I do really love on this one the art and kind of the style of the cards. I love purple, so like purple's my favorite color for those of you who didn't know. And so for the aesthetics of this card, I'm really digging it. Prime Apprentice says summon, choose a prime action to create. The prime actions are a Prime Blast, which deals 4 damage for 3. A Prime Shock. Oh, they're all 3 cost.
Yeah, they're all 3 cost.
Prime Shockwave deals 1 damage to all enemies. Prime Brilliance, gain 3 XP. And Prime Intellect, draw 2 cards. So this is a very, very flexible Mind Arcanist, which is awesome. I think all the abilities are about right. Prime Intellect, obviously, is just a reprint of a core card. The others, well, not core, but it is a staple card for a while. Meticulous research. Prime Blast is about on par. Prime Brilliance is probably too overpowered. And Prime Shockwave is actually maybe a bit under curve. No, one more and it would be Lightning Surge. So I don't know what to think of this. Is this too much for a little 2-drop?
I mean, the community didn't think so. I thought it might have been when I was critiquing it, but after looking at what other people are saying, and I kind of agree. Look at it more like a 5-drop that's played over 2 turns.
Yeah.
And honestly, I want another staple like this. Like what was that card that was run in Vertic Control? Oh, I feel really stupid for forgetting it. It's now 6 mana. It was 5. It had exhaust as an option, XP as an option, draw an action as an option. It was like a cryptic command in collective terms.
Oh, yeah. I know the card you're thinking of. I can't think of the name at the moment.
Oh, I feel so dumb. I played it a lot when I tried Vertic Control. Anyway, that card was very versatile and very good, and I feel that it really helped mind control decks kind of mold together. Yeah. Without it, and with it being, well, basically nerfed, I think a card like this would be a good replacement. I also think, and you didn't mention this, so maybe you don't know, this is going to be the main theme for like this group in Xander, where like these prime actions,
yeah,
they're going to be the centerpiece of these kind of cards, I think.
Oh, so these are all like token fodder actions, like Star Chips.
Right,
like but there are lots of resources generate the same tokens.
Right, well, they're going to be modified by different creatures.
Oh, interesting.
By different units, like, so this one makes them as an example, and then maybe there would be another unit that says Prime Blast or Prime cards in your hand. As you notice, they have the Prime Tribe, so
yeah,
Prime cards cost 1 less, or Prime cards.
Okay, and so that could work and be interesting. It is a little parasitic and would need probably 3 or 4 cards worth of support before that we really started seeing those, because like
probably, but
scrolls didn't go anywhere for this kind of reason, right? Well, I guess they did a little bit in Legacy. I don't really know the history. It would be useful to have some alpha players on.
But yeah, I think this would be a good staple for Arcanists. I think it would be a good staple for mind control in general. And I think if people understand that the primes are supposed to be kind of this thing, but they don't need to have that overarching theme that is trying to be implemented, which is nice. But if that theme does come along, that would also be a nice interaction.
I think it is a little problematic and maybe hamstringing the design a little bit that it uses the words choose a prime action, which seems to imply that these are the only 4 that'll ever exist. You got to be kind of careful with your wording on that. So like the Sleuth Sedan, the Sleuth Squad is clearly the 4 cards hanging off of it. I could just imply that. It could say like Prime Apprentices, choose one of the 4 spells to create. You know, you got to be careful about how you use those words, especially if he's planning on building on this. But maybe I'm overthinking that part. So yeah, it would be interesting to see in the future how to build or how this can be built around. But as is, I think this is maybe a little bit too pushed, a little too flexible. It's not doing great on the Reddit. It's sitting at about 5 last we checked. But I would be willing to, I would actually really, really like to see this in the game so we can maybe nerf it if it gets out of hand. But as is, I think this is a really, really cool design. Like, I'm fascinated by it. It's very, very neat, kind of the role this is playing.
And yeah, I agree with you. Stronger cards should go in first, and then we can nerf them after. It does lead to a little power creep with that kind of thought process, but
yeah. Well, maybe not super strong cards, and maybe not too many at once because we're limited in the number of update slots we have.
We have 5 update slots, and some
Yeah.
days I see people scrambling to find things to update.
I think this is the right level of a risky push, right? Where it's like, I don't know if this is going to become a problem, but it might, but I'm going to put it in anyway. I think this is perfect. I think this is right at that line. Because this is very, 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 very flexible. So yeah. And again, Magneter, I disagree with you on some of the creative direction, but I applaud this design. This is really, really cool. And I'd be excited to see it in the game. So I'm going to stop the share. Thank you so much, Corn, for making sure that I was not alone for my Christmas special episode.
You're welcome, I suppose.
Well, I would hope you say I'm welcome. Anyways, but yeah, so next week things should be back to normal. We should have Grief on. I'm gonna buy an air horn and like play it through the phone to wake Empty up, or we'll figure something out. Like, comment, and subscribe to remind me why I'm doing this. We will continue to have guests on the show. After hearing the survey, heard a lot of people saying it was very important that we have guests. We will try to get one at least once ever, or with a gap no bigger than 2 without a guest. So at least every 3 weeks is what we're going to try for. We'll try to do more. We'll see. So thank you very much. Keep playing collective and keep voting on cards. Bye.